right, get ready. Because today we're going deep, really deep into a company that's literally building India's defense, like right now.
We're talking Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilding.
Yeah, Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders.
Yeah.
And they just had this investor call November 5th.
Fascinating stuff.
The transcript you sent over? Wow.
Yeah, they're doing incredibly well right now. Record profits.
Yeah.
Order book is packed. They've got some really ambitious plans.
It does seem that way. Of course, as with any company.
Yeah.
Especially in a complex industry like this.
Oh, yeah.
There are always challenges below the surface.
Always lurking.
So today we're going to try to unpack all that.
Absolutely.
Different business segments, what's pushing them forward, the risks they might face.
Yep.
Kind of a deep sea exploration.
I like that.
Of Mazgaon Dock.
Yeah, a deep dive.
But without the pressure.
Without the diving suit.
Yeah.
Just to kind of set the stage here, they're working on six massive platforms right now. Warships and submarines all at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Logistical marvel.
Okay, so core business, building these warships and submarines for the Navy, the Indian Navy, right?
Absolutely. That's their bread and butter. They've got a long history of delivering these very complex vessels, but they're not just doing those big ticket items.
So what else are they, are we talking smaller support ships, patrol boats, Coast Guard, that sort of thing?
Yeah, you got it. Naval auxiliaries, Coast Guard vessels. Just adds to their revenue stream, but it also shows how versatile they are, how they can adapt to different needs.
Yeah, they're even starting to kind of, make some noise on the international market.
They are.
They got an order from Denmark.
They did.
A specialized vessel.
First one into the European market.
Wow.
It's a pretty significant win. It means they're not just a domestic player anymore.
Yeah.
They're starting to gain some recognition.
And get this, they're not just doing the traditional shipbuilding. They're also going into the offshore sector.
That's right.
Working with ONGC, this multi-year project worth, 8,000 cores?
Yeah, huge project. Shows how willing they are to try new things, explore new horizons, tap into that growing demand for offshore infrastructure, especially, in energy exploration.
And hold on, they're even building a hybrid vessel.
They are.
Which says to me they're keeping an eye on sustainability.
Oh, absolutely. The world's moving towards greener shipping, and they want to be ahead of the curve.
So we've got a company building massive warships, branching out into new markets,
right?
Embracing all this innovative technology. Sounds like they got a lot of wind in their sails.
They do.
So what's driving this? What are the key factors here?
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to look at the government.
Okay.
The Indian government. They're very focused on make in India.
Right.
They want to boost their defense capabilities.
Right.
Yeah.
And that creates a really good environment for companies like Mazgaon Dock.
So they're riding this wave of government initiatives. Sounds like a win-win. The government gets their domestically built vessels. Mazgaon gets the steady stream of orders.
And it's not just about building new ships. It's about modernizing existing ones. They talked about refitting submarines with air-independent propulsion AIP.
Okay, now break that down for me. What is AIP? What's the big deal?
Imagine a submarine that can stay underwater for weeks at a time.
Wow.
Doesn't have to surface for air. That's what AIP allows. It's a game changer for naval strategy.
Yeah.
Really enhances the sub's stealth and endurance.
So they're not just building new subs, they're giving these older ones a technological facelift.
Exactly.
Extending their lifespan, making them even more formidable.
You got it.
That's got to be lucrative.
A normal refit can cost about a third of the sub's original price.
Oh, wow.
But when you add AIP, 55, 60%, and India is planning to upgrade its entire submarine fleet. So this represents a huge opportunity for Mazgaon. And it's not just domestic demand. They also talked about, the growing potential for exports, especially with all the geopolitical tensions.
Yeah, absolutely. The global landscape is shifting. Countries are boosting their defense spending.
Right.
That means a bigger market for these advanced warships and submarines. And Mazgaon Dock, they've got a proven track record. Growing international recognition.
Yeah.
They're well positioned to capitalize on this trend. You look at that deal with Denmark, it's a clear sign.
Okay, so we've got strong government support, push for modernization within the Navy, favorable global market. It's like a trifecta.
It is a trifecta of tailwinds, pushing Mazgaon Dock forward.
But as with any journey, there are always potential roadblocks, obstacles. Let's shift gears a little bit and look at some of the risks they might encounter.
Okay. Time to put on the skeptical hat.
Yeah, see what challenges might be lurking beneath the surface.
One risk that's just inherent in this industry is, order delays.
Right.
These big defense projects, they're complex. Yeah.
Multiple stakeholders involved.
Yeah.
And that can lead to delays, setbacks.
Yeah, so even with a packed order book, there's no guarantee everything's going to run smoothly.
Exactly. It's like waiting for a ship to come in.
Yeah.
But it might be delayed because of rough seas.
Right.
Or logistical hiccups.
Yeah.
And while Mazgaon is a dominant player in India, they're not alone.
Right?
There's competition. Companies like Cochin Shipyard,
yeah,
they're doing really well in commercial shipbuilding, boasting some pretty impressive profit margins.
Competition keeps everybody on their toes.
It does.
But it also means Mazgaon can't just rest on their laurels.
No. They have to innovate.
Yeah.
Keep their pricing competitive.
And then, of course, you got the global economic conditions.
Right.
Rising inflation, supply chain disruptions, the possibility of recessions. All of that can impact material costs, project timelines. Just adds another layer of complexity.
It's like trying to steer a ship through unpredictable currents.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to adjust course. And speaking of adjustments, they did mention that their record high profit margins, they're expected to normalize.
Yeah.
12-15% in the future.
So they're riding high right now, but they're not being complacent.
Right.
They know there are challenges ahead.
Yeah.
They're anticipating a more competitive landscape.
All right. We've covered their diverse portfolio. The forces pushing them forward. Yeah. The risks they face. But what does the future hold for Mazgaon, Doc? Let's dive into that next.
Let's do it. Welcome back. As we look ahead, one thing's clear. They're not just thinking about staying afloat, they're thinking about serious expansion.
They dropped a bit of a bombshell during the investor call. A plan to invest 5,000 crores to double their capacity.
That's huge.
That's a statement.
What's involved in this expansion?
Well, they're talking about additional shipbuilding and repair facilities, larger dry docks to accommodate even bigger vessels.
Okay.
That means they could handle more projects at the same time.
Right. Tackle those really massive ships that are currently beyond their capability.
So they're not just scaling up, they're looking to play in a whole new league.
They are?
What about their order pipeline? Any hints about what's on the horizon?
They were a little bit tight-lipped about specifics, but they did mention being in the running for the next generation of corvettes and destroyers for the Indian Navy.
Now, for those of us who aren't, naval experts, explain the difference. What roles do they play? Why are these orders so significant for Mazgaon?
Okay, so think of it this way.
Go ahead.
Corvettes are like the nimble, multi-role fighters of the sea. They're designed for coastal patrol, anti-submarine warfare, even surface combat. Destroyers, on the other hand, those are the heavyweights. They pack some serious firepower, capable of engaging in full-scale naval warfare.
So securing these orders would be a big deal for Mazgaon.
Oh, absolutely. It would really solidify their position as a leading supplier of these advanced naval vessels.
And they drop some sort of tantalizing hints about the value of these upcoming orders. Their current destroyer order back in 2011, that was worth 34,000 crores. So if you factor in inflation, all the technological advancements since then, these new generation ships, we could be talking a fortune.
Absolutely.
And speaking of, game-changing projects, we can't forget about Project 75I. This bid to build 6 new submarines.
Right.
In partnership with the German company, TKMS.
This is a high-stakes competition, huge implications for Mazgaon Dock's future.
Why is Project 75I so crucial? What makes it stand out?
Well, for one thing, it involves some really cutting-edge technology, like we were talking about air-independent propulsion or AIP.
Right.
Winning this contract would not only bring in a ton of revenue, it would also position Mazgaon Dock as a global leader in submarine construction.
Yeah.
It'd be a major step forward for their technological capabilities.
So this project really is kind of the holy grail of submarine contracts. What are their chances of actually getting it?
Well, they didn't give us a lot of details, but they did confirm that they've been declared qualified for the tender.
Okay.
So that's a major hurdle cleared. But the final decision, that's up to the government.
A nail biter for sure.
It is.
So a massive capacity expansion, potentially lucrative orders for next-gen warships, and a shot at this prestigious Project 75I. It paints a pretty exciting picture.
It does. But we can't ignore those potential risks. It's a complex industry.
Right.
A lot of moving parts.
We talked about order delays.
Right.
Competition. Global economic headwinds. Are there any other risks that they should be keeping in mind as they kind of, chart these waters?
Yeah, I think one risk that's often overlooked is the reliance on technology transfer. Working with international companies like TKMS, it's important for getting that advanced technology,
Right.
but it also creates a dependency. What happens if those partnerships go south?
Right.
Access to technology gets restricted. It could really slow things down.
So it's a bit of a tightrope walk. They need to balance that collaboration with developing their own, homegrown capability.
Absolutely, in these critical areas. If they want to be sustainable in the long term, and then there's the workforce.
Yeah.
Building these sophisticated vessels, you need highly skilled people.
Right.
Mazgaon has to invest in training.
Right.
Talent development, make sure they have the right people to carry out these ambitious projects.
It's like assembling this expert crew.
It is.
Of shipbuilders, engineers,
Yep.
technicians.
Each playing a vital role.
And speaking of which, it's not like they're sailing in calm seas.
Sure.
The nature of naval warfare is constantly evolving. Technology is always advancing.
Right. So Mazgaon has to stay ahead of the curve. They have to make sure that the ships they're building, they stay relevant, effective.
Right.
It's not enough to just build ships that are good for today. They have to anticipate the needs of tomorrow. Be ready to adapt to those ever-changing tides of naval technology.
It seems like adaptability really is the key.
Yeah.
It's not just about building ships. It's about building a company that can, evolve.
That's right.
Innovate, navigate this complexity.
But how does Mazgaon Dock's success tie into the bigger picture?
Yeah.
I mean, what does it mean for India's position on the world stage?
That is a great question. I think it comes down to this whole concept of strategic autonomy. India's ambition to be self-reliant in areas like defense and a strong domestic shipbuilding industry is essential to that.
So it's not just about building ships, it's about building a nation's capacity to defend itself.
Right.
Project its power globally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as Mazgaon expands its capabilities, grows its international presence, it's contributing to India's ability to play a bigger role in global affairs.
It's a fascinating dynamic.
It is. This deep dive has really given me a whole new perspective on shipbuilding.
Yeah.
It's far more than just nuts and bolts and welding torches. It's about, national security, economic growth, a country's place in the world.
It's a complex industry, multifaceted. And Mazgaon Dock is right at the heart of it.
Yeah.
And their journey is going to have these ripple effects.
Yeah.
Far beyond the shipyard.
Okay, so we've explored their ambitious plans,
right,
the risks they face, the broader implications of their success. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question.
All right, I love a good brain teaser.
Given their capacity expansion, their focus on new technologies like AIP, do you think that Mazgaon Dock is setting themselves up to become a major player in not just, in India, but in the global defense industry? And if so, what could that mean for India's, strategic position on the world stage?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely possible, especially considering that recent win with the export order.
Yeah.
Their ambition to secure these huge projects like 75I.
The implications for India's global standing are huge. Imagine them becoming this reliable supplier of high-quality warships, submarines to other countries, significantly enhancing their influence, creating all these new opportunities for partnerships and alliances.
Not to mention the economic impact. I mean, this kind of success, it would boost India's economy.
Yeah.
Create jobs, foster technological innovation. It's a win-win. Potentially transformative.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. We've uncovered the inner workings of this company that builds some of the most complex machines on the planet.
Yeah, we have.
Explored the forces shaping their destiny. And grappled with these bigger picture implications of their success.
I agree.
And I think, who knew that something as seemingly straightforward as building ships could be so multifaceted.
It really shows that even in this interconnected world that we live in, heavy industry, it still matters.
Yeah.
A lot. And Mazgaon Dock, their story is a good reminder that the things that we often take for granted, like the ships that are moving goods across the oceans, protecting our coastlines, they're the result of amazing feats of engineering, human ingenuity.
Well, folks, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Mazgaon Dock shipbuilders.
We have.
Hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. You never know what you might find.
We really have charted an incredible course today. Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders, their triumphs, their ambitions, the challenges. As we wrap up this deep dive, what really stands out to you? What's the most significant thing we've uncovered?
I think what's really remarkable is how they're operating on multiple levels, managing this incredibly complex business of building these massive ships, but at the same time, strategically positioning themselves for growth and global expansion.
Yeah. It's like they're playing a high-stakes game of chess.
They are.
Thinking several moves ahead.
And they're doing it with this level of expertise and precision. It's really inspiring. And let's not forget their commitment to innovation.
Right.
Embracing these new technologies like AIP, venturing into hybrid vessels. It really shows they're thinking ahead.
They're not content with just kind of maintaining the status quo.
No.
They're actively trying to shape the future of this industry in India and globally.
And they're doing all of this against this backdrop of geopolitical shifts, economic uncertainty.
It's loud.
They're dealing with these complex supply chains, potential order delays, stiff competition.
It's a testament to their resilience, their adaptability. They're not just riding the waves, they're charting their own course.
Through some pretty rough waters.
Yeah.
I have to say, this deep dive has given me a whole new appreciation for the role that Mazgaon Dock plays, not just in India's defense, but in their economic growth, their aspirations on a global stage.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's been really eye-opening seeing all these connections, shipbuilding, national security, technological innovation, a country's place in the world.
It's amazing.
And who knew? I mean, something as seemingly straightforward as building ships could be so multifaceted.
It really is a testament to the fact that even in this interconnected world that we live in, heavy industry still matters.
It does.
A lot. And Mazgaon Dock, their story is a great reminder of that.
Yeah.
The things that we often take for granted, like the ships that are out there transporting goods across the ocean, protecting our shores, they're the product of just incredible feats of engineering and human ingenuity.
So as we say goodbye to the world of Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders, we encourage you out there listening to keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep into the stories behind the industries that shape our world. You never know what you might find.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.